Welcome to the Hotelligence Podcast, your strategic vantage point on the changing landscape of hotel safety. Hosted by Jim Kortz, a retired FBI DHS investigator, and Don Carr, a former frontline security owner-operator with years of first-hand incident response experience on hotel properties. Every episode brings you closer to understanding the full picture and what the future may hold. Let's begin.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Hotelligence Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 8, Why Knowing is Not Neutral.
So Don, on the last episode, we discussed how the shift note is not a summary, but it's a record.
That's right, Jim. So today we follow that record one step further.
Because most operators treat knowing as a neutral act.
Right. Information comes in, it gets noted, nothing has changed.
But something has changed. The property just doesn't feel it yet. So let's talk about the illusion of neutral. So when operators hear that documentation creates knowledge, the first instinct is, of course, to write less.
Right. Note carefully, keep it vague. If it isn't recorded, the property can't be held to it.
And that logic feels protective. It treats knowing as something you can opt out of.
But you can't. The hazard doesn't disappear when the note does.
Yeah, a property that knows less doesn't carry less risk. It carries the same risk with no record of how it was even handled.
Well said, Jim. So the knowing was never neutral. Only the defense was optional.
Yeah, well said too. Yeah, so that brings us to what knowing actually means. In an investigation, knowledge is rarely a single dramatic fact.
Yeah, it's accumulation, a maintenance ticket, a guest comment, a line in a shift note 3 weeks earlier.
None of those are the incident, but together, they're the foreseeability.
And this is the part operators miss. The standard is not what you knew at the moment something happened.
Right. It's what a reasonable property in your position should have anticipated, given what was already in front of it.
Two very different things, Jim. And that's why knowing tilts the ground under you. The instant the property holds it, the question's no longer whether something could be foreseen.
It's why it wasn't.
So if you can't unknow, and you shouldn't try, the question changes.
Yeah, it stops being whether the property knew.
And it becomes where that knowledge went.
Yeah, and knowledge that sits in a system, owned at a layer, routed to the role that can act on it, is defensible.
Right. Knowledge that floats, seen by everyone, owned by no one, acted on by whoever felt urgency that night. That's the exposure.
Right. Same fact, but two completely different positions in front of that plaintiff.
Knowing is not neutral, but structure is what decides which direction it points.
Yeah, and this is where market matters.
Right, because a limited service property and a full service property can hold the identical fact.
The reasonable response is not identical.
So what's expected of the operator carrying it depends on the property, the staffing, the role that's actually present at 2 a.m.
Yeah, knowing is never neutral anywhere. What it obligates is not the same everywhere.
Which is why the answer is never to know less. It's to know inside a structure that defines who owns it and what owning it requires.
And that's Season 2, Episode 8 of the Hotelligence Podcast.
Next time, we'll talk about why not acting is a decision. Once knowing isn't neutral, doing nothing stops being neutral too. And remember, we're in this together.
And together, we make hospitality stronger.
We publish a short written insider briefing alongside each episode. It goes out on Wednesdays when the episode drops. If that's useful, the link is in the show notes.
Thank you for joining the Hotelligence Podcast, where experience informs smarter, safer hotel operations and prepares you for what comes next. Stay informed, stay confident, and stay connected. As the conversation evolves, Jim Cords and Don Carr will highlight developments that help hotels strengthen their approach to safety and risk management. See you next episode.